Hello. I heard you wanted to hear a story before bed. I will be happy to tell you one. Once upon a time in England, a long, long time ago, there was a lake, and at the bottom of this lake, it was still and quiet and peaceful until one day, from down at the bottom all the way to the top, the lake began to boil, and steam came out from the cave at the end of the lake, and out of the cave came a monster with huge leather wings, scales on his back like iron, breath of fire. It was a dragon. And all of the people screamed, and they ran away, and they hid behind the castle walls. But the dragon roared, demanding food. And the people were very frightened, and so they got a sheep. Meh. And they pushed the sheep outside, and the dragon came and went chomp. And every day he came back for another sheep. Chomp, chomp, chomp. But pretty soon they ran out of sheep, and so they made a terrible choice. Everyone had to put their name in a giant pot, and they stirred the pot and stirred the pot. And whoever's name was chosen would be fed to the dragon. Now, would you like your name to be in that pot? But when they pulled out the name, it was the name of the princess. And the king said, "No, not my daughter." But no one wanted to go instead. And so they took the princess down to a rock by the lake, and they tied her to the rock, and they left her for the dragon, and she was crying, and she was saying, "Won't someone save me? Won't someone save this poor princess?" But the water of the lake began to boil, and steam came out from the cave at the end of the lake, and out of it came a creature with huge leather wings, scales on his back like iron, breath of fire. It was a dragon, and the dragon roared, and he opened his mouth to chomp the princess in half, when there was a sound over the hill that sounded like this. Clop, 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 and I got louder. Clop, 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 and I got faster. Clop, 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 clop. And then there at the top of the hill was a knight riding a white horse, a knight whose name was George. And George pointed at the dragon and said, "None shall harm the princess while I live." And the dragon turned to him and roared. And poor George, he's going to be in a lot of trouble because I didn't give him anything to fight the dragon with. But I think we can help him out. George at his side had his sword, and at his other arm he had his trusty shield, and holding in his hand now as he rode atop the horse, he held his spear, and he began to ride at the dragon with a clop, 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 clop. And he threw the spear, whoosh! But the dragon's scales were as hard as iron, and the spear broke, and he knocked George from his horse opened his mouth and said, "Roar!" And poor George, he's going to be eaten up by the dragon. He's going to be burned to a crisp. But what did he have to protect himself with? He lifted up his shield, and it blocked the flames. But now the dragon was lifting himself up into the air, and he was going to come down with his wings and squash George flat. But as he came down, George pulled out the only thing he had left. He pulled out his sword, and he drove it up. He drove it into the soft underbelly of the dragon. He drove it right into the dragon's heart. And the dragon roared, and he splashed into the water. The water boiled, and the dragon was never seen again. And all of the people came out and they said, "George, you did it. You saved the princess. You can become king." But George said, "No, I cannot rest until all the dragons have been slain. This is my quest." And he rode away. But some say that today, even today, when England rides into battle, you can see him riding a white horse. Saint George, the Dragonslayer. I hope you enjoyed that story. Sleep tight, and don't let the dragons bite.